The desert wind carried dust through the streets of Silver Creek that autumn morning in 1892, and Martha Hayes sat on the wooden porch of her father's general store, watching the world move past her like she had done every day for the past 3 years since the accident. She was 24 now, and the wagon that had crushed her legs when she was 21 had changed everything about her life in ways that went far beyond the physical scars. Her father, Edmund Hayes, had been a hard man before the accident, but afterward something in him had turned cold and bitter like winter frost that never melted. "A crippled daughter is a burden," he would say loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "No man wants a wife who can't walk proper or bear the work of a household." Martha had learned to move around with crutches and could manage many things on her own. But in her father's eyes, she had become worthless the moment those wagon wheels had rolled over her legs. The doctor had saved her life, but her father acted as if it might have been better if he hadn't. On this particular morning, Martha was mending a shirt when she noticed a stranger riding into town on a sturdy brown horse. He was tall, with sun-weathered skin and kind eyes that seemed to take in everything without judgment. He dismounted in front of the general store and tipped his hat to her. "Morning, ma'am," he said with a voice that reminded Martha of smooth river stones. "Name's Jacob Wheeler, and I'm looking to buy some supplies if the store is open." "It's open," Martha replied and gestured toward the door. "My father is inside." Jacob nodded and went in, but not before Martha caught him glancing at her crutches leaning against the porch railing. She had grown used to those looks over the years, though most people in town had the decency to pretend they didn't notice. What surprised her was that Jacob's look held no pity or disgust, just simple acknowledgement, like noticing someone had brown hair or wore a blue dress inside the store. Edmund Hayes was measuring out flour with his usual gruff efficiency. Jacob introduced himself and explained that he had just purchased the old Whitmore Ranch 5 miles outside of town and needed supplies to fix up the place. "The Q. Whitmore Place," Edmund grunted. "That property has been empty for 2 years and the house is half falling down. That's why I got it for a fair price," Jacob said with a slight smile. "I've got good hands and time enough to make it right." Over the next few weeks, Jacob became a regular visitor to the general store. He would buy nails or rope or coffee, and always took time to speak with Martha on the porch. He told her about his plans for the ranch and about his life before coming to Silver Creek. He had been a cavalry scout and then a ranch hand in Wyoming, and had saved enough money to buy his own place. "A man gets tired of drifting," he told her one afternoon. "There comes a time when you want to put down roots and build something that lasts." Martha found herself looking forward to his visits. Jacob treated her like a person, not like a tragedy or a burden. He asked her opinions about things and listened when she spoke. He told her about the books he had read during long winter nights and seemed genuinely interested when she shared her own love of reading. One day he brought her a book of poetry that he had found in the trunk at the ranch. "The previous owner left quite a few things behind," he said. "I thought you might enjoy this." Martha accepted it with trembling hands because no one had given her a gift since the accident. That evening she read every poem twice and felt something stirring in her heart that she thought had died 3 years ago. Edmund Hayes noticed the attention Jacob was paying to his daughter, and it filled him with suspicion. "That Wheeler fellow is probably after a discount on supplies," he muttered. "Don't go getting any foolish ideas." But Martha couldn't help the ideas that were forming for her. The first time since the accident, she felt seen and valued. Jacob never mentioned her legs or treated her as if she were fragile. He spoke to her about real things, about ideas and dreams and the challenges of building a life. One crisp October afternoon, Jacob arrived at the store with a determined look on his face. He purchased his usual supplies, then turned to Edmund with a straightness in his posture that commanded attention. "Mr. Hayes," he said, "I'd like to speak with you about your daughter." Edmund's face darkened. "What about her?" "I'd like your permission to court her," Jacob said simply, "and if she's willing, I'd like to marry her." The silence that followed was so complete that Martha could hear the clock ticking on the store wall. Edmund stared at Jacob as if he had spoken in a foreign language. "You want to marry Martha?" Edmund said slowly. "My crippled daughter." "I want to marry Martha," Jacob corrected. A fine woman who happens to have been injured, and I don't consider that a reason not to love her." Edmund laughed, but it was a harsh sound without joy. "You're either a fool or you're after something," he said. "No sane man would choose damaged goods when there are plenty of whole women available." Martha felt the words hit her like physical blows, and tears burned in her eyes, but Jacob's expression didn't change. "With respect, Mr. Hayes," he said quietly, "you're wrong about your daughter, and you're wrong about what makes a person valuable." He turned and walked out to the porch, where Martha sat frozen in shock. Jacob knelt down beside her chair so that his eyes were level with hers. "Martha," he said gently, "I didn't mean to speak without asking you first, but I couldn't let another day pass without making my intentions clear." "Why," Martha whispered, "why would you want someone like me? Someone like you?" Jacob repeated, "You mean someone who's kind and thoughtful and intelligent, someone who sees the good in people and has strength that most folks couldn't imagine. Someone who makes me want to be a better man just by being herself." Tears were streaming down Martha's face now. "I can't walk properly," she said. "I can't do all the things a ranch wife needs to do." "You can do more than you think," Jacob said. "And what you can't do, we'll figure out together. That's what marriage is supposed to be, isn't it? Two people helping each other through life." "My father is right," Martha said bitterly. "I'm a burden." Jacob took her hand gently. "Your father is wrong," he said firmly. "And I think deep down you know that." "Listen to me, Martha Hayes. I'm not a young man anymore, and I'm not a romantic. I'm practical and honest, and I'm telling you that I see in you everything I want in a partner. Will you consider marrying me?" Martha looked into his eyes and saw no deception, no pity, just genuine affection and respect. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I'll marry you." The wedding was simple and took place 3 weeks later in the small church at the edge of town. Edmund Hayes didn't attend. He had told Martha that if she was fool enough to marry Jacob Wheeler, she was no longer his daughter. The words hurt, but they also freed her from the burden of his constant disapproval. The other townspeople attended and seemed genuinely happy for the couple misses. Peterson, who ran the boarding house, told Martha, "I always knew you were stronger than your circumstances, dear." Jacob carried Martha over the threshold of the ranch house, which he had spent weeks preparing. He had built ramps where there were steps, and had arranged the kitchen so that most things could be reached without excessive standing. "I want you to feel at home here," he said. "This is our place, and we'll make it work for both of us." Those first months of marriage were an adjustment. Martha had to learn to trust that Jacob truly wanted her there, and Jacob had to learn patience as Martha figured out new ways to manage household tasks. But they worked together. Jacob built Martha a special chair with wheels that allowed her to move around the house more easily. Martha learned to cook sitting down and discovered she could manage the garden from a low stool. She also took over the ranch bookkeeping and proved to have a sharp mind for numbers. The ranch began to prosper under their combined efforts. Jacob's hard work and Martha's careful management meant that they not only survived but thrived. They bought more cattle and hired 2 ranch hands. They added rooms to the house and filled them with books and comfortable furniture. But more than the material success, they built something deeper. They built a partnership based on mutual respect and genuine affection. Jacob never once complained about Martha's limitations, and Martha never stopped being grateful for his acceptance, though. She learned that gratitude wasn't the same as feeling like a charity case. She contributed to their life together in real and meaningful ways. 2 years into their marriage, Martha discovered she was pregnant. The doctor in Silver Creek warned that it might be difficult given her injuries, but Martha was determined. She spent the pregnancy reading everything she could find about childbirth and infant care. Jacob worried constantly but tried to hide it. The birth was hard, but Martha brought a healthy baby boy into the world. They named him Samuel after Jacob's father. Holding her son for the first time, Martha felt a completeness she had never imagined possible. "You see," Jacob whispered as he sat beside her bed, looking at his new family. "You are the strongest person I know." Over the years, they had 2 more children, a daughter they named Rose and another son they called Thomas. The ranch became known throughout the territory as one of the best-managed properties around Martha's bookkeeping, and Jacob's ranching skills made them prosperous. But their real wealth was in the family they had built. The children grew up seeing their mother as capable and loving. They never thought of her injuries as a limitation because she never treated them as one. She taught them to read and to think and to treat all people with dignity. She showed them by example that obstacles could be overcome with creativity and determination. When Samuel,